Hi, this is Judy Baker, and I have the pleasure of hosting the Buzzworthy Book Power Hour. I work with an author in the love seat, and I answer their questions. I help guide them as a mentor, which means a little bit different connotation than coaching. If you're familiar with the term coaching, that usually is a very directed, here's what you should do. However, in mentoring, I am an active listener, a participant, and my job is to bring out the questions that need to be answered, as well as to help people discover exactly what they need to know and what they need to do to take the next steps in their career as an author. Carol Ann has written 6 books that are historical fiction, and we met through the California Writers Club. If you are not familiar with California Writers Club, it is an amazing group. There are over 22 chapters and about that 2,200 members. And so we've got folks who are all throughout California. I happen to be in Sonoma County, and I'm the past president of the Redwood Writers chapter. We're the largest chapter. Cheryl Ann is part of the Sacramento chapter, and I've spoken with that group as well. So we have a lot of information on craft, on marketing, on all the things you need to know in order to really get your book out there, be a successful author. And some people are full time, some people are part time, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you writing? Are people reading what you've written? Are people sharing what you've written? And my philosophy is this. There we go. Cheryl, thank you so much for being with me, and thanks for being patient. Um, still in the learning stage here, but I told
Okay.
them, I told no, we're live right now, so I want to ask you to introduce yourself. I've introduced myself, and now tell everybody a little bit about you. You write historical fiction. I told them that we've met through California Writers Club, and just tell them a little bit about what you're up to and what brought you here today.
I write California history nonfiction. I don't write fiction.
Sorry.
All my books are nonfiction, carefully researched. Okay. I have 6 titles out now. I started writing that in 2009. And I think the first one was published in 2012, I believe. Okay. I enjoy the research very much, and I like being able to tell people the truth about California history. You know, what happened, when it happened, who were the players, what was the issue. I'm most interested in the gold rush era, and I also like the Mexican period before that.
Well, this might surprise you. So I I am a native. I'm a native Californian, and
Okay.
let me just get me on there again. Oh,
Do you live
this
in LA?
well, I live in Sonoma, and
Oh,
I was born in San Diego, and when I was in Native Sons in the club, Native Sons, for about 10 years with my husband. And
hmm.
so part of what Native, and I think you might be familiar with them. So Native Sons, part of their mission is to help people understand the history of California. We also are uh, responsible for adding placards and information at the historical sites throughout the state. And so, of course, I've got one of the most famous ones, which is where the Bear Flag Revolt took place on the plaza
Right.
in Sonoma. So it's pretty cool. So I'm curious, how did you get involved? How did you start your career writing about the history?
I really have no good excuse for it. I did not like history in high school. Of course, in high school, maybe they're still doing it. The only thing that they wanted you to do is memorize dates, which is not history. I mean, dates do nothing. They just they just indicate a time so that you can compare other things around it. That's all a
Yeah.
date is for. Um, I I have always, since I was a little girl, uh, and I happened to read something in probably the Reader's Digest about Egypt, and I became fascinated with Egyptian history. Okay, which
Oh,
they don't teach. They don't teach in California schools, of course,
no.
in high school. Anyway, so I went through high school, and I had been a writer since I was a little girl, but little girl stories.
Yeah.
Um, and somehow, but then real life happens, and I got involved. I mean, I had to work for a living. I worked in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles for several years, and one day I was at a bookstore there in LA, and I happened to see something that looked interesting. It was a book called Anybody's Gold, okay, by what's his name? Lewis, I think. I can't remember. No, Jackson. Okay, his name is Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
and he's he has passed away now. But it was about the different places where the original discovery, and then it went here and here and here and here and here, and
Yeah.
he did a little not a bio because they didn't talk about people, but a little history about each place. And I thought, yeah, oh, I'm from Sacramento. That's where it happened. That's where it all happened. I
Yeah.
mean, and here I am in Los Angeles. Anyway, a few years later, I married someone who lived. I'm a native Sacramentan. I married someone who not a native here, but grew up here. I knew him from high school, so I
Yeah.
moved back to Sacramento, and that's when I started. Yeah, I still remembered that book, that wonderful book, and of course here I have all kinds of research
Yeah.
uh, things available here,
Right.
as you probably do too. I have
Yeah.
museums, and Sutter's Fort. I was a docent at Sutter's Fort for 10 years. Um, all
Right.
kinds of archival,
Mm-hmm.
that so I love it. I do. I'm, I've gotten passionate about it.
Well, I'm curious because you said you wanted some help with your marketing. So
Yeah.
tell me what have you done, and what seems to be working and maybe where things aren't working the way that you would like them to.
The only thing I do, I mean, in years past before code sort of changed everything around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would go out maybe 3 or 4 times a year and give a lecture to like a women's group or a museum, or I'm not a yes, a museum or a library, that kind of thing. Um, that has more or less that's changed a lot. The opportunities to do that have changed a lot. Um, so I rely now on Twitter. Also, I have a website, of course. I have a website, and I have a blog that's published through my website. And when I publish the blog posts every other week, I send those to Twitter. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, okay. And of course, I maintain a presence there with just ordinary, are they still called tweets? I don't know anymore now that it's X. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Whatever it
But
is.
right, whatever it is. And to maintain my following, I have more than 1,400 followers, which is not a great number, but it's
It's a
not
good number.
bad.
Yeah.
Um, and so, of course, I run little ads, all the time. Besides the blog, I run little ads that I've made through not Canva, the other one, BookBrush. Nickname's the
Okay.
BookBrush,
Yeah.
and so I post those, on Twitter, and occasionally I'll do something on Facebook. Although I kind of it's gone by the wayside. I mean, I'm not so sure that Facebook is the right place for authors anymore.
Sort
Do
of
you think?
depends. It sort of depends. It sort of depends.
Oh,
I mean, well, here's the way that I look at it. The platform that works is the platform where your readers are. So if your readers
yeah,
are not there, then I wouldn't hang out there. I mean, I think of it the same way that I do when I go shopping for anything. Am I shopping in the store where they have the things I want, or am I not? And I like to find, if so say, oh, it was really funny. I was talking with a friend last night at an event, and we both like this. There's a dress store here in Sonoma that we both adore. And this one particular designer that we both adore. But recently, the dress store is not carrying the styles that that designer creates that fit
hmm.
us. The owner has been picking things that we don't like, and we're kind of distressed because we want to support her, but we can't find what we want. And so that's the same thing with a book. If you are listening to your readers, they're going to tell you what they want and where they're hanging out. And when you find out where they're hanging out, you want to make sure you're there as part of the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, I got some information off of the internet that I'm going through. They have suggested that I place ads on LinkedIn. I mean, I have a LinkedIn account, but I don't see where there's any ads. Do they
Oh,
have ads?
they actually do. Um,
Mm,
but I've got a philosophy on that too. Before I
mm,
ever say spend money on an ad, I want to see some organic traffic. You can always
mm,
amplify by adding money, but though all the platforms are in the business of selling stuff and they want you to buy things. But you know what? When you have organic traffic, nobody can take that away from you. And
mm.
so working, like you said, you've got 1,400 followers on whatever it's being called
Twitter,
this week.
whatever it's called.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you connect, well, oh, I have another question for you, a follow-up question. So are you only communicating with people through social platforms, or do you have your own email list?
I don't have my own email list. It seemed to me that that was something for fiction writers. I mean, way back when.
Yeah.
The other thing I do, I'm at the state fair every year on the author's
Oh,
news. I do that.
I bet that's a good place for you to
Uh,
be meeting people.
it's a good venue, okay, and I am looking at another venue for Christmas. It's a local market, okay, that a writer friend of mine was very successful
Hmm.
at, uh, who has moved. She's moved out of the area that we live in, so
Yeah.
she won't be there this year. But I'll try that. It's a Christmas thing,
Yeah.
um, and I need to probably look at find more live venues because I think I do better
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
I can answer questions, and I mean,
Right.
history is not sexy, right? It's not.
Well,
It's not.
you
Well,
should
it's
talk to
not like.
Rebecca. You should talk to Rebecca Rosenberg if you think history's not sexy.
Well, I mean, the
I
public doesn't see that. I
know. I
mean,
know.
yeah, they've been doing it all these years, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Right.
and having a good time. But I mean, people, the public gets all jazzed up about thrillers and romance,
Yeah.
books
Right. Right.
and
Right.
that kind of. And now what they call women's lit, chick lit is, I
Yeah,
guess, is
right,
really
right.
is what it is.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
and that's a big thing now. Very, very, the girl on the train and
Oh,
all those
yeah.
titles are similar. I wish I could write that. I wish I had that talent, but I don't. I don't. So we'll plug along with what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But back to LinkedIn. See, I don't pay for the ads I put on X. I mean, I just post them,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Does LinkedIn make you pay?
Um, yeah.
Because I don't see any there.
The truth of the matter is this. Most of the platforms it's a pay for play. So it started happening with Amazon. If you really want to get your book seen, they're telling you need to do that. If you haven't done some of the things that I help my authors do, which
Mhm.
is to build organic traffic. And here's why organic is so valuable. Think about this. We've seen changes. Well, we saw this massive change with X after it was purchased and it became a whole nother other. We have seen platforms that were hot and now they're not even anywhere in sight. So the reason why I asked you about email, um, you own your email list and nobody can take that away from you. That you own it, it's yours. You aren't at the mercy of anybody else because any of the social platforms, while they are good, if you think of them like a cocktail party, that's where you might meet people. But if you wanted to really have a conversation and you wanted to have a relationship with someone, you're not going to do it at the cocktail party. You're going to say, hey, we really connected. Can I get your information? And here's mine so that we can continue to get to know each other better and to have a conversation and, maybe go do something together. But if I only am connected, say if you and I were only connected on any social platform, if for some reason, and this has happened to more people than I can tell you about, they got kicked off that platform or the platform changed what they were looking for. And so suddenly you might have had a really good, strong community around you. And then boom, it's gone in an instant. So think of the platform. Platforms are rented space. Your email list, however, you own it. And even if you go from one email service provider to another, you still own all the people who've given you permission to talk with them and interact with them. So that's why email is still number one for time investment, for dollars invested. And the cost of having an email service provider is minuscule compared to the information you get because you know who it is, you know how often they're looking at your stuff. You know what they like and what they don't like. You can see what they clicked on, what they didn't click on. You can ask questions. You can invite them to events. So I'm just saying, I think that may be a big gap where you could get more traction and say, you said you do events. So if you met somebody at an event, but you want to let them know you're going to be at another one,
Mm.
so that's why you would want to do that. So how many books have you sold so far? So you've got, is it six total right now?
I have six titles.
Six
Yes,
titles.
six
Okay.
titles.
Okay.
Okay. And over the years, well, I mean, sales have slowed down because my books are older. I mean, the first one was 2012 and then
Mhm.
2013 and then my
Yeah.
last one is 2020. It was published in
Okay.
2020. So they're not, today's, hot ticket, but I still want to sell them, obviously.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I do sell, obviously, I sell at the local Sacramento History Museum. They
Oh,
also sell my
perfect.
books.
Yeah.
So so I have that. But those sales are, I mean, you're not going to pay the mortgage with those kind of sales, right? And you're not going to pay the mortgage with, what I'm getting uh,
Yeah,
on my from my ads, on
right.
X and that, but that's okay. I'm covered for that. I just want to increase sales and increase my visibility. I mean, I'm recognized. I have a college degree, but it's not in history. But I am recognized as a historian now, which is super.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's wonderful. I mean, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just met some gentlemen who I feel are real. I mean, they're amateurs as well, but I mean,
Uh-huh.
they are historians, and they found me through my website, and we've had several Zoom meetings and
Right.
exchanged information, and they think I know things. I mean, this is just fantastic. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just so jazzed about it,
Yeah.
but they're not buying my stuff either, of course. And besides that, if they do, that's one book a piece, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so what do you mean by organic traffic
Well, think about
exactly?
this.
Mm,
When you go to look something up, so you put in a search term, that
mm-hmm.
is more organic. So when you do a search, and now we're really looking at more than any other time that there are you'll see results and you'll see sponsored results. Those sponsored results, people paid for those. So it would be
Okay.
a pay per click, whatever it is. And they can get pretty pricey pretty fast. When you
Yeah.
have organic traffic, it's because you're talking about something, people can find it because you've used terms that they're looking for. And now with especially now that we're tending to do more, here's what I'm looking for, and I'm doing more of my searches in Chat GPT than I am in Google. So I'm
Yeah.
the there's a big distinction between the SEO for web and SEO for the large language models. They aren't the same,
Mm,
but you can do things to train the models to find you. So if I know I'm interested, so I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. If I know that I'm interested in California history, that would be the big broad picture. But then if I start drilling down and I say, okay, California history, but I want to know about a particular region, or I want to know about a particular time or a particular person. Think about it the same way when you categorized your books. You have the big, broad categories, and then you have subcategories, and you keep, niching down. So you're going to use the kinds of words that people are searching for to help them discover you. And even though your books have been out for a while, you can keep them top of mind because say, well, we had a very weird thing happen recently in recent history. We suddenly had the National Guard show up in Los Angeles. Well, has that ever happened before? I think it did quite a while ago, but you
mm,
might think about how can I talk about current events and relate them to my books so that you are now building an audience who's interested, just like you said, you're talking to these gentlemen, and there's probably a lot more of them out there. And I know a previous client who wrote historical fiction, and the reason why it was historical fiction is because there were gaps in the research that she was doing, because it was very common, and you may know this already too, it was very common during the 1800s, early 1900s. People would live one place and then they would move somewhere else in the country, and they'd invent a new identity because maybe something unsavory happened. And so they wanted to become, they invented a new person. So there would be gaps. And I know I've heard other people talk about this. I was listening to a podcast from Australia, and people to do research, they would look at ship records, they would look at um, incarceration, marriage certificates. There's so many different ways to come at it, but there are people who search on genealogy, there are people who search on history, there's people who search on, individuals, and people who search on towns and locations. So with organic, that is more natural stuff that is happening. So you're not paying for it, but your content is attracting people, and you can continue to build and grow because you've done a lot of work, and you've been doing this for over a dozen years. You have so much knowledge, and of course you can't share all of it at once, but you can start picking and choosing parts of your content that you might relate to something that's going on now. And then, because something that's happening in the news right now does relate, is relevant, you can get people to, oh, you're piggybacking on that. So have you ever done anything like that?
No, but that's a very good idea because, of course, Los Angeles has been occupied by the military
Yeah,
before, uh, in the early 19th century. I
right.
mean, around the time of the Civil War. So it didn't happen very long, but
Mm-mm.
wasn't. But yes, it's happened before. Okay, I mean, nothing changes in the human condition, really. Okay. The people from the 19th century were just as suspicious of the politicians they had as
Yep.
we are of ours. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they were just as interested in leading a happy, if you want to call it that, a happy, productive life.
Yeah.
They were just, I mean, they're the same. We're the same people. We're the same people.
Like,
We wear different clothes,
yeah.
and so on and so forth. But the human nature is still the same.
Yeah.
But I had not thought about, yes, but I have to be quick about it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the occupation in LA was last week. That was last week or
Right.
the week before. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're still there. Are they? I mean, I would have to
Not too
keep
many are left.
watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to watch television every night with a yellow tablet sitting in my lap and write down what I'm going to say the next day. And
Mhm.
I suppose that would be on X. Doesn't really give you a lot of platform to write about. I have not signed up for their premium. I suppose I should do that. Haven't done so. Facebook, of course, I could write as much as I wanted.
Of
Right?
course. Of course.
Yeah.
So tell me, let me ask this question. When when you are, there's a process that you're doing when you're writing. Are you doing anything to incentivize people to read your books?
Uh, by what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, sometimes people will offer something that,
Like a freebie? No, I've not done that. I don't.
okay.
I have never offered free books. Okay.
Oh no, I wasn't suggesting that you offer a free book. You don't have to offer
Oh,
a whole book, although that is a very uh I'm going to tell you something. I've got a whole article that I give away to people that talks about how you can market giving things away and that you'll actually make more money, because people like to sample, and there's no risk. So I might not know you, but if you said, oh, you can sample some of my writing, and then I can decide if I want to invest my time and energy and money into a whole book, I might be more inclined to do that. And if you, I mean, that's kind of the Costco model. You walk in the store, and here's you know, you're walking down the aisle and they say, "Oh, here, try this." The number of times I've actually tried something, because I'm not a real snacker, but
Mm,
I've encountered things that I never, it wouldn't have even been on my radar, but I said, "Well, that looks interesting. What's going on there?" And so I try something out, and then I'm spending dollars. And you know, it's not a bad strategy. In fact, I had two friends who built multi-million dollar businesses by giving away a lot of books. And
mm,
that helped Joel Friedlander, who was a good friend. We were both past presidents of the Bay Area Independent Publishing Association, and he gave away, in the first book that he published, he had in his marketing budget, he gave away 500 copies of his book. Well, you know what that did?
mm,
It accelerated his visibility. He got booked to speak around the world because he gave away a, you know, a $12 book and made millions because the book was his introduction to trade shows, to trade fairs, to conferences, to being a keynote
mm.
speaker. So he didn't look at, this is how much this book costs. No, he looked at it, this is part of my marketing budget. So that's what I'm suggesting, that there's a lot of things you can give away that aren't going to cost you anything. Doesn't have to be your book, but
Mm.
you know a lot of stuff. What do you think you might give away that you know?
That's a good question. I would have to think, I would have to think about that and what would be the best way um, to do that. I mean, it sounds to me like the gentleman who gave away that book was doing so because he wants to be invited to events or he wants to lead events. I mean, he's doing that to get to some other goal, not
Oh,
writing, not
no,
writing,
no,
right?
no. He sold a boatload of books, and his book on self-publishing is one of the best
Oh,
books out there. No, and he's passed away. His book is still selling
mm,
because he used evergreen principles. He This is what he did. He and I would show up every month to our BAPA meeting. He would take notes. He started listening to, we had a Q&A session every a Q&A session. Sound familiar? Every meeting.
mhm,
He listened to what people were asking. And so he would answer their questions. And then he did the same thing when he published his book. He listened to that. So I'm suggesting to you, look at what kind of questions people ask you when you meet them in person, when you are having conversations on social platforms. Listen to what they're saying, and what could you give them that they are talking about. That's one of the ways. So if you
okay.
just take a second and think, what are some of the, you know, frequently asked questions that you hear? Anything come to mind?
Well, I'm not right now. It's not entering my head. I have so many. Like you said, I have so much
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
that it doesn't. It's to the point where it doesn't spring out. Uh, I do have my one of my interests in history is are the pioneer women. Okay, who came
Oh,
across country. I
yes.
have an enormous database that I put together myself about who they were and what year they came. I know what year they came across. I know who they're married to, if they were,
Oh,
and whose daughter they were, and I could do something with that. I've already
oh,
given it away free to the library
okay.
years ago. I gave it away free to the library, which means
Oops. Yes.
since I did that, that library took my fifth book, okay, and
Yeah.
made it their book of the week at the California
Okay.
State Library.
Okay.
So that was a
Um,
reward.
well, see now, are you getting kind of the way that I approach this? I look at what are you doing? What are your interests? And what are the interests of the people you appeal to? And you give them more of what they want. But if they don't know you yet, how might you attract them? We all are subject to suggestion. And the best example I can give you right now is from the movie industry. How long did you see promotional information for Wicked? How long do you think that was?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, okay. It was a full year.
Oh,
They were wrapping up production, but while that process was going on, so that's the equivalent of your writing, while that
mm,
production process was going on, they were telling people this is coming, here's a preview, here's this, oh, here's all these other things that go with it. And that's basically the whole model in the world of entertainment is you aren't just selling the experience of that event. You're ramping people up, you're getting them excited. You know, people do it with their books, people do it with music,
mm-hmm.
and they are telling you it's coming, it's coming, it's coming until you're salivating waiting for the thing to happen and you're trying to give them money so that you can get the thing. And every author can do that and so few do it. But we've seen this whole expansion with Kickstarter campaigns, which is it's a marketing campaign. It's, don't kid yourself. That's what that is. But you can do it with existing books. You can do it before your book's released. You can do it after a book is released because maybe you're giving something else. I mean, we just were celebrating the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And
Right,
I know,
right.
and even crazier, I had gone to a play on Saturday night and I knew there was a harvest moon and I happen to love Neil Young. And so
Mm.
I said, "Oh, Spotify, please, put on Harvest Moon." And there I'm looking and it's saying it's the 50th anniversary of that album. Talk about I'm feeling pretty old at this point, but that breathes new life into something that you think, well, that's how old? But we have books that we've been reading that we're aware of that have that are thousands of years old. And why are they still popular? Because they're still relevant. So you
Mm.
have so much value, but you've been sharing it here and there. But I think you can do more with it. So we've got about 5 more minutes because I have another event today. Actually, I have two more events today. I've got a Buzzworthy Book Bistro at 2 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock, I've got another Power Hour. So,
Oh.
what else? Why don't you ask me your most burning question that something about your process and what you would like get from your books and your marketing that hasn't happened yet.
Uh, I don't know how to phrase that, especially Judy. I was looking at the information I took from. I'm not on Instagram. Should I be? Um, I was looking at that. That's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be. I would have to really study what to say on the thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, it looks to me like it's a lot of pictures. Okay, rather than a lot of text. But it's the same kind of thing, probably as Facebook started out being. Right, it's a
Yeah.
way to communicate electronically and share your life. And I people on Facebook still to this day uh, exchange pictures of themselves out to lunch with friends and and that kind of
Yeah.
But I just need to, maybe I need, because I'm a technical dinosaur. I mean, I've learned to do what I have to do, right?
Yeah.
To just to post here and there. I mean,
Right.
you saw the trouble we had,
Oh,
okay?
that was not,
Um,
don't, no, don't even go there with that. So
but
you
uh,
feel like you've got some challenges with technology and you're
yeah,
curious about where should you be, putting energy and effort. And it depends on, I mean, you could spend every minute of every day trying to reach people. But what I really feel makes more sense and why I created my bees model, and when I say bees, I mean these kind of bees. Oops. Yeah.
I think tomorrow's Honeybee Day, right?
Yes,
Honeybee
it
Day is
is.
tomorrow.
I think so. So what do you think bees do? They don't all do not it's not one person, it's not one little bee making everything happen in the hive. Now, everybody serves the queen bee, which is me.
Right.
So you want to be the queen bee. And so the queen bee has all these workers, and all the little workers are out there communicating, finding goodies, sharing information. So your job as an author becomes write the best material you can, but what you want to do is build a community that can act on your behalf in addition to what you do. Oh my goodness. Hey, yes, I my person just showed up in the waiting room, and let me just
Okay.
let her know I will be there. You know what? I'm not sure how to do that part. Um I'm gonna let her know. I'm gonna let her in. She's at about book awards, so I'm gonna let her in the room. So
Okay.
so all the little bees are out there, but bees communicate. They don't try to
Yeah.
do it alone. They get other bees, they'll be scouts out there, checking things out, but they then bring the information back to the hive, and then the bees go out and they gather pollen from those really rich flowers. So think about those flowers as kind of being influencers, and that doesn't mean they have to have a million followers, but they might have more people. So if you are the only person speaking, whoops, I keep knocking my mic. If you're the only person who is proactive on your book, that can be pretty lonely. But think about it. If you had 10 people, or maybe you had 25 people, or maybe you had 100 people who like you and like your books, and they're all out there telling their friends who tell their friends, suddenly you have a much bigger picture. So it seems to me we should have a further conversation because I have a sense it's not that you don't know what to do, but you need a plan that will help you spend your time to get the most out of the time that you're investing, as well as amplifying and increasing the number of people who know about you and who can help you with your marketing. What do you think
Yeah.
about
I need a plan. I need a plan.
Okay.
Right.
Well, you are in luck, my dear. So what I'm going to do after we meet today, I will be getting back to you. And this is what I do with folks. I look at where are you now, what is working, what isn't working, and then we
Yeah.
come up with a plan that fits you. And I try my very best. I'm a mentor, so I'm not going to say, "Oh, you must do this, this, and this." There are lots of marketers out there who will tell you you have to be everywhere all at once, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You want to spend time, but so like you said, you're really solid on X. So you already have that working, but let's see what we can do to tune that up. Then you can take some of the same things that you've learned there and see what you need to do to adjust it on a different platform. But most
Yeah.
importantly, we're going to get your email marketing working because that's a missed opportunity. That is totally a missed opportunity. But we're going to make it better. So, how does that sound
Good.
to you?
That sounds good.
All right,
That
my
sounds
dear.
good.
Well, I appreciate your time today. And thanks for everybody who joined us. And if you want to stay on, we're going to do the Buzzworthy Book Bistro. And Carol Abramson is my guest today. And she's going to be telling us all about how to crack the code for book awards. And book awards are just like those little bees, they spread the honey. So thanks so much. I appreciate you being here, Cheryl. And with that, I'm going to end this broadcast and we will get started on the next one. So
Okay, and you'll be back in touch with
I
me
will be
later.
back in touch with you within the week. And if you think of any
Okay.
questions we didn't cover, just send me an email and I'll be glad to see what I can do to help figure those out. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Thank you.
much. Okay. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.